Hi guys, hi, welcome and welcome to my channel. So today I want us to have a conversation around why marriages abroad, why there is a high rate of divorce when people japa. So this is more like people that have lived in Nigeria, right? This is mostly for people that have lived in Nigeria, any part of Africa. Why is it that when they travel, they start having marital issues? Some might not lead to divorce anyway, but they start having issues. And yes, some actually do lead to divorce. So this has been a conversation since, and I wanted to talk about it. So basically, right, if you know anything about Nigerian marriages, you know that Nigerian okay, you guys should not come for me, but I'm going to be very honest. One thing is that a lot of Nigerian marriages were built from a place of, I like this woman, I want to marry her, we come together, her job is to do what? Cook, clean. Typical Nigerian marriages, please, because I don't know, I hate that I have to say this, but most like when you talk about things like this, people come and say, it's not me, it doesn't happen in my home. I'm talking about typical, yeah. So the numbers, statistics, a lot of them now, if you I've been to a lot of TikTok lives, and if you ask them what is the job of a woman, they'll tell you the job of a woman is to cook, to clean, to have kids. They basically like describe their mothers, what they saw their mothers do, what they saw their aunties do. That's why fertility is such a huge issue in Nigeria. If you're someone that watches Nigerian film, you will understand why they do those movies where a woman is trying to have a child, and for 15 years she's trying, she's going to church, she's going from one hospital to the other. The man might not even go to hospital, the man might not go to church. It might even be the man's fault. Who cares? The woman will be the one to do that. You will see Nigerian films, if you've watched Nigerian films, or you maybe you're not Nigerian and you've just watched it by movies, you understand why sometimes you see a woman will get married and she's automatically supposed to stop her career. So this is what a typical Nigerian marriage is. Now, why does this change when they japa? Obviously, easy. When you move abroad, the first thing I would say is the financial crux. Now, a lot of Nigerian marriages, right? A good percentage of Nigerian marriages are used to this. The husband goes, works, come home. Even the wife, if she does something here and there, she might just not be contributing as much as the man to the house. A lot of men are expected to go and bring the money, and women who stay at home, take care of the kids, cook, clean, are not considered work. They're not considered this work. That's why it feels like a man went out the whole day and worked. So you're meant to appreciate it. Meanwhile, the woman that has been at home the whole day dealing with toddlers, if you have kids, you know that having to deal with kids is not easy. Even if you have helps, giving instruction is really not easy. Sometimes in the morning you wake up and you're giving different people instruction. Your help might leave, you start again with another person. Basically, when anything happens to that child, the society blames you. If the child turns out well, it's you as the mother that the society blames. If the child doesn't turn out well, the society blames you. If the child is not doing well in school, it's the mother that will go for PTA. Now, let me give an example. I went to a boarding school in Nigeria, right? And we were a lot. But I can tell you that during the visiting days and the PTA meeting, you can count the amount of men you will see there. If there are 100 people in that school, you will see, and I'm not exaggerating, you will see about 90 women before you will see the men. Yeah, even when the man is coming, the woman will come there. And even in cases of people who had lost their mothers, do you know that it's their grandmothers that will come, or their aunties? In fact, I went for this school program for my daughter, right? And the MC kept saying, like, he'll call your name to come and take the prize. So he will say, Blessed, where is Blessed mother? Irene, where is Irene's mother? Come and take a picture. That's how he's so used to the mothers coming that he was only calling like for the mother. So there was this particular there was this particular lady that came out, and there was this particular girl that came out, and she came out with her father. And the MC said, "Oh, your father is here." That's how shocked the MC was to see a man. Now, these PTA meetings and all these things that they put, graduation, this is something that if you have a child in school, you know that ahead of time, they give it to you. They tell you ahead of time that, okay, this is the graduation, this is PTA. So you can actually take off work. Because even these women that go for these things, like my cleaner, for example, I had a cleaner before that was married. Every time she comes to work and she has to go somewhere for her child's graduation or something, she will take permission from me ahead of time. So is there a reason the man cannot take permission? So, this is the typical Nigerian setting. It just feels like, okay, when the man is paying the school fees, that's all that matters. Of course, the woman, if she has something doing, every now and then she'll go shopping, she'll buy food here. Those ones they're not checked in. They're not checked in as what you do. One thing with school fees is that if school fees is this amount, you can work towards it. But food stuff today might increase, tomorrow is this way. A child, just kids outgrow their clothes every day. She'll go to market, she'll see something nice for the child, she'll buy. She can be in the whole market the entire day, haggling price. But those ones are not considered work. Now, why am I talking about this? When you go abroad and this is your family setting, that's the first issue, because the dynamics change. I was watching a video yesterday and I just remember that I had to make this video. So it was about a YouTuber that just recently moved abroad, and her friend, they were talking about 50-50 and stuff like that. And she was literally like in shock. She was in shock when she heard her friend talking about how she splits bill with her husband. It was like story to her that, sorry, so you mean that you guys put this amount and this amount goes, okay, what about taking care of the kids? What about this? You know why? Because that is what she is used to in Nigeria. She's used to being the one to care for the kids, to fend for the kids. But the dynamics are not the same abroad. Nigerian bills is not the same as abroad bills. So most times I've seen a lot of women who had to, when they moved abroad, they had to pick up job. By the time the bills start knocking at your door, you have to pick up job. You can count the amount of women who moved abroad and didn't pick up a job. Even if they're not physically going to work, they're doing content creation, they're looking for, depending on where the husband is. If they had gone to meet their husband, probably they didn't job out together, the husband went first and the husband had probably paid for the mortgage and a lot of heavy things that take money. Then they now have the luxury to do certain things like content creation that can still bring them money. But with content creation, this month it might give you money, the next month you won't. But in most cases, a good number of cases, the women had to like jump into doing work, whether it's nursing, whether it's Uber, whether it's PM, like they've had to do something. So when you now start working, when bills come and you start working, the dynamics will change. Automatically, you and your husband don't even need to talk about who will take care of the house, who will bathe the kids, who will prepare them for school. Because you might have night shift and you have morning shift, or you have morning shift and you have night shift. In fact, there are videos I used to see on Instagram of husband and wife talking about how they've seen themselves this week. And it was literally at the car park, honking at each other. They are like, this is basically the life abroad. As the man was going to work, he's coming back. So are you going to come back and be expecting the house, food to be prepared for you? And a lot of these people, there's also documentation part of it. So they are going to school. Most times they went there on like maybe health work or student visa or something like that before they can stabilize. So they still need to go to school, they still need to work. So when you come there, when you move abroad and you haven't changed your mindset before moving abroad, or you haven't changed how things work, this is the first issue. This is when couples start having issues abroad. When we had this conversation on a TikTok, a man came up on the box and he said that when he was in Nigeria, he used to go for school run, and when he calls his friends, like maybe they're having a conversation, where you day? You say, my child's PTA. They'll say, it's true. I don't even know what that PTA looks like. So while they were in Nigeria, his wife didn't work. Even though she wasn't working, he could handle the bills. He used to go for PTA. He was involved in everything the kids were doing in school. So when they moved abroad, of course, he couldn't handle that again, financial burden alone. His wife had to start working. But because in Nigeria, he was already going for school run regardless of it. He was involved in his kids' life. He cooks, he does all those things. It was easy. Like, it was not even a conversation. It happened automatically. So that is the thing. When you now go abroad and you decide that that same traditional marriage that you're used to in Nigeria will keep happening abroad, it cannot work. Because you cannot tell a woman who has worked, like done like 8-hour shift on her feet, working, maybe probably working in a care home, has had a hectic day, people have annoyed her, color, race, and all those sort of things. And she walks into the house, and probably you didn't have a shift then, and you walk into the house and the house is not arranged, and she'll get agitated. she will get agitated, and this is when they start fighting. Or finances, for the women that say my money is my money, my husband's money is our money. That teaching, it quickly destroys the system abroad, because it's no longer that way. You need to put the money you have on the table, he needs to put the money he has again on the table. In fact, this YouTuber actually said something that made me smile, and I love the response her friend gave her. She said that whoever earns more pays higher, which is absolutely normal. And she said, at the end of the day, my husband will always earn higher than me. And her friend was like, no, it's not like that. But like, and she was like that. She has always had that mentality that her husband will earn higher than her. And the lady was like, no, this is abroad. Anything can happen, right? Do you know that, let's say her husband, let me give an example, right? If her husband is a nurse, for example, and she's a truck driver, and they pay, and maybe the country she's in, they pay truck drivers more, automatically you're earning higher than your husband. But for her, as a Nigerian woman, it came as shock because of what she's used to. A lot of Nigerian men out earn their wives because, one, they started working earlier. Two, some women were just told to go to school and come back and don't bother working. So before they could even go anywhere in their career, their husband had worked higher. So in an office setting, a corporate setting, the husband will get like more opportunity in terms of promotion. So that's the mindset she came in with. And her friend was like, no, this is abroad. Like, it's so easy to out earn anybody, right? But because if you guys do not understand finances, or you haven't talked about this, or you don't put it on the table, this is where issue comes. Because you're not going to be earning higher than your husband, and then you come and have that mentality of, my husband's money is our money, my money is this. You people will be on the streets, because by the time bills hit, because let me tell you, even to Japa is one of the most expensive journey you can embark on now. Anybody that has left this country in the last 5 to 10 years know how expensive it is. A lot of people have had to sell their house, had to sell their land. So when they sell it, whatever money you guys are using now is the money of what you guys sold. So let's say you sold your house for 100 million. You go with that 100 million. You don't have time. You have to start making money now, because you don't have another house to sell. Neither do you have that house again. You don't have the property, and that money is going. And you know how money is. By the time you pay for this. And just like in Nigeria, for example, we pay for our stuff monthly. Rent is yearly. We pay yearly. Everything is pay as you go. If your gas finish, you top under gas. If you're not ready to buy gas, you can be doing takeout. We don't pay like car insurance and all that. Even if you're buying a house, it's outright. So we don't have bills. It's pay as you go. Now, when you go abroad, where these things are monthly, if you don't assist your husband, at some point you'll be stuck. And also, if the man doesn't also understand that, okay, you guys are abroad now, things are no more the same. You cannot be leaving the kids for me. You have to now like step up. Sometimes you have to do the cooking. Sometimes I have to do the cooking, because let's talk about daycare and all that. That's also very, very, very expensive. Sometimes you might have to be the one to go for the PTA, because you're the one that your shift falls into that. So when they don't go with that mindset, money now becomes an issue. Because I'm not going to lie, a lot of Nigerian women were not taught financial freedom, financial literacy. So they literally worship money. They see money as a thing. A lot of Nigerian women are scared to pay for things in the house. You will see some women, right? This maybe they don't like the table again in their house, but it's until their husband pay for it, because that's the mentality. They have that mentality of, and I don't blame them. It's more like how they grew up. They have a mentality of, okay, I'm already taking care of the kids, so this part is his own. Why some men, ego, right? In traditional men, we always feel like, why did you change this without my permission? Because they're so used to this, it's my house. So that's one of the biggest issues. So if you're listening to it and you're planning to move abroad, make sure that if you're a traditional man and a traditional woman, make sure you guys sit down and rethink it. Think about it. I know that there's a Nigerian YouTuber based in Canada that was doing a Q&A session, and someone asked her, how do you cope taking care of your kids and your husband and still do your YouTube? And she laughed. She said, my kids and my husband, because that's the life that lady is used to. That's the one that asked the question. She's used to that life of taking care of kids and husband. The lady was like, kids and husband, or you mean how my husband and I cope? And she started going down, like, remember in Nigeria, she has boys, and she didn't do all those gender thing of boys are not meant to do this, boys are not meant to sweep. So that training she gave her kids have helped her now that she's abroad. Her kids help her out. They do things like when she wants to cook, they're young, they can help prep, they cut things, they clean their own room by themselves, even though they had help. So because of that training she gave them, The same thing. Two, in Nigeria, she used to work. She used to be a banker. You know how stressful that is. So she and her husband had already been used to finance, right? They've already been used to working, like she working, he working. So definitely a working class lady, you don't expect her to come home and start cooking food immediately. Maybe she'll cook in the weekend. And when she's not around, if it's her husband that can cook or something. So because of it, she said that's what makes it easy for her, because in Nigeria, they were already living that life. They didn't have that thing of is the woman that must do this or is the man that must do that. And every conversation they had about moving, you hear that in her conversation, she kept saying things like, my husband and I decided, my husband and I decided. But a lot of women, you hear things like, my husband says it's time for us to travel. Like they don't have a say. It was just like, my husband says it's Canada, my husband says it's UK, let's go. So if you don't think about that and put it in the table, it might not necessarily lead to divorce, but that's the biggest thing that puts a strain in your marriage. Another thing is loneliness. A lot of people are not close to their spouse. This happened a lot during the pandemic. We saw a high case of divorce and separation rates in Nigeria, because that was the very first time that we were having a total shutdown where people were not allowed to leave their house. They were not allowed to leave to go to church. They were not allowed to go to school, nothing. And trust me, for a lot of women, they go to church for companionship, to leave the house. They go to market just to have conversations with other people, because they are not friends with their husband. And you know how abroad can be now. Your husband, your friend can be in the same state, and you guys will be procrastinating, like when you're going to see, because everybody's busy chasing their dream. Like bills, they worry person for abroad. So you need to work. So at the end of the day, this is the first time that they have each other. They don't have the same things in common. They can't watch movies. They can't discuss. And those your friends that you usually have those conversations with, they are far now and they have their own thing they are doing. For a lot of people that are living to places like Canada, Australia, imagine moving to a place in Australia where by 9 a.m. is our 2 a.m. Are you going to start calling your friend by her 2 a.m. because you want to give her gist? You're left with your husband or you're left with your wife. So for that loneliness, a lot of them are having strain in their relationship because they never really had a good relationship with their partner in the first place. Another thing is religion. Abroad breaks down all those religious norms that we are taught. You know that I always say this. I say that the Holy Spirit of Nigeria is different from the Holy Spirit in the world, because you see Nigerian pastors climb the pulpit and tell you that if your husband cheats, go on your knees and pray. If you're this, instead of you to praying for a better country, instead of you to praying for a better self, instead of you to praying for progress in your career, pray for man, pray for cheating man. Now I saw that they were doing some trend. School fees is about to come. Be submissive to your husband so he will pay your school fees, harass him, cook good food so that your husband will pay your school fees. So imagine those kind of teachings. Imagine going abroad and realize that this is rubbish. How do I kneel down and pray for a cheating man? Like what time? It's like they have a lot of time in their hands. What time? I've not finished my shift. It to be praying for a cheating man. Like, what rubbish is that? And so they now realize that all those things we were taught were absolute nonsense, were absolute rubbish. The people that used to shout submission will start seeing submission from a different part of view, because the religious people will always tell you that, oh, the Bible says that the woman should submit to a man, but the same Bible said that both of you should submit to each other. But they hardly go to the second verse that says that man should also submit. And when you submit to an authority, so you're submitting to God, and you're submitting to the authority of that particular incident. So basically, what that means is that if your wife is an accountant, that means anything finance, at that point, you are submitting to that authority because she is the authority in finance. If your husband is good at maybe planning, if you guys are going somewhere, he's the authority in that. Now, are you going to come and argue with him and say, or argue with her and say, because I'm the head? Meanwhile, your wife knows how to plan. Your wife, I tell people that one of the things, using myself as a personal example, right? If my dad could do it again, one thing I'll tell him to do is to listen to his wife. My mother is such a planner and such a magician when it comes to money. If you give my mom money now, my mom knows how to use it for that, how to break down things. So even me now, whenever I have any project I'm doing, I have to contact my mom She'll break it down for me. She'll tell me how to pay this, how to negotiate this. My mom is so good. So imagine they were not doing submit, and my dad was listening to her when it comes to finances. It would have been a different ball game, right? So yes, that's it. So that's when you have to now sit down and start looking. It's not a case of we are moving to England tomorrow. We are moving to Birmingham. Birmingham is no more working. No, in this case now you're financially involved. Your wife is financially involved. You guys will now have to sit down and talk about things, and whoever is going to take the lead in that conversation is who is better off in that. So when you go abroad, you now realize that, oh, these things are different. Another most important thing that people say that make it look like, oh, when women go there, they divorce their husbands, because you go there and hear a lot of stories of women that sent their husbands out of the house and stuff like that, and you hear them saying stories like, don't bring your wife to the UK if you're not this. Basically, why that is because safety. The system favors them more than here. Yes, the system favors them more than Nigeria, so they feel safer there. My friend went to the police station to report the husband was hitting her, and she was talking. You know, when you're angry, she was saying, if you hit me again, don't ever try that. You know, just talking on top of her voice. The policewoman looked at her and said, you, Seth, keep quiet. That's why they hit you. Do you think a police woman abroad can say that? If she does, then you can actually sue. Like, you know what that is. So the chances of you, I mean, the world is patriarchal, the whole world, but the chances of you meeting a misogynistic, male-centered policewoman and a man is in Nigeria is higher. Yes, like in Lagos, for example, I'm happy that the domestic violence unit, they are doing very well, but still, there's still some comma there. I've seen them have conversations, and you see some people have some sort of, oh, but madam, what did you do? You know, those kind of things. So a lot of these women, they are not safe when it comes to reporting abuse. They cannot leave, because in Nigeria, you hear things like my husband's house, because that house is in the husband's name alone. It doesn't matter that they built it together, and they don't need to build it financially. Who puts a home together? Who makes sure a home is run well? The wife. So it doesn't matter that she contributes all that. If she catches the husband cheating, she's the one that should go. If the husband catches her cheating, she's the one that should go. If they're in any situation that don't favor them, she will be the ones to want to leave. So sometimes when they look through all those situations, they just stay and take it in. Now, when they go abroad and they go to a system that knows that they feel safer in the system, because the court will always take the side of, what do the kids need more? Is this man a threat? So that means he should leave, because the wife and the kids cannot be on the street. So that's why you see that when they go there, it's not as if they went there and the society just changed them, that they were good. No, look at everybody that has had issues in their marriage. It was shaky. Now, why they tell people, if you know your marriage is shaky, don't move abroad. Yes, it was already shaking here. The foundation wasn't solid. There's a lady here that is on YouTube now going through a divorce, and she's listing everything that has happened. Everything that's happened, guess what? They all happened in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, she will not have had that mind to probably ask for a divorce, because by the time you're there now, culture, society, you know, there's a different culture now. My friend that moved abroad told me that when she was in Nigeria, she was used to the one going for the kids stuff, going for all those stuff. When she came there, she sat down and she saw men, you know, in their kids' graduation. And she went back and told her husband, please, let's talk about this. Like, listen, when it's your turn, please go for the graduation. Like, I come there, I see Amanda's father drops her off at school. I can only be the one dropping off. So the culture can influence what you know. What in Nigeria, what you start realizing that those things in Nigeria, they are bare bit minimum. When you see, because I remember those days in my secondary school, if a father comes to visit you, it's such a big deal. Like, wow, your father came, that's nice. Because why? We're used to the mothers coming. So when you go abroad, where is the norm? You're not like, this is bare minimum, right? So at the end of the day, that thing changes. So if you don't want to change your mindset, if you still want to go with this traditional marriage in your head, chances of you having issues will be high. That's why you see them saying things like, oh, don't bring your wife abroad. The man that brought his wife abroad, the wife has now kicked him out of the house. That's why even before they came to the abroad, that marriage was not solid. So the system now helped the woman to get her freedom safely. Now, I want to add one thing that people always ask. They say, why is it that foreign Nigerian men or African men treat foreign women better? And I'll tell you the truth, it is slave mentality. Some of us like our chains. Yes, it's not just in marriage, it happens. I've been in a situation where I had to walk out because the white people in this country, the white people that were in this country were treated way better than the Nigerians. yeah, I've been in that situation. I've seen it happen. Sometimes when you're in a supermarket, so the sales person sees you and sees a white person, they just have this thing to serve the white person. It's a slave mentality. And again, they know that these white women will not take the things that the black women, that the Nigerian women were taking. That's why when you come abroad, you see them taking care of their kids. You see them, even they'll start doing content with it. Oh, today I'm going on a walk with my kids. These are people that in Nigeria, they don't even know their kid's birthday. It's the wife that has to remind them that, today is our first child's birthday. Now they're here doing all these things. So that's really the reason they do it, because they don't have a choice. It's a slave mentality, and the fact that you know that that white woman is not going to take what that Nigerian woman took. That's why you see a lot of them doing it, and sometimes they need those people, documentation and all. So it's almost like they use it against them. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to come and tell a white woman, get out of my house. She'll throw you out of her house before you even tell her, get out of my house, that sort of thing. So basically, if you've ever wondered why it feels like when they go abroad, and again, lastly, something I forgot to say, in Nigeria, labor is cheaper. So most people in Nigeria, like even an average family, may have a chef, a house help, things like that, people that help them out. And now they're in this country, it's just the both of them. So that thing you felt that it was easy for you to have 5 children and keep up, but you didn't know it's because you had help. Now you're doing it alone, and you have to be like, guy, I didn't have this child alone. Like, we had the child together. So we have to do it. So when you get to that system, you will see yourself adjusting. And if you marry someone that is still saying, no, how dare you say I should take care of the child, as a human being, you just be like, do you know it's better for me to be alone? Now, because Americans and white people and all the foreigners and all, because they are used to the system, this even tells on how many kids they have. You can see a typical Nigerian family with 7 kids, 5 children, 6 children, because it was easy to get helps here to help. But with them, because they saw it growing up, from day one, they knew that this is what it would be. So you see them actually planning their kids, saying, okay, I want to have 1 or 2. But you've relocated with almost like 6 kids with no help there, and your husband is not willing to help you. It's going to start telling on you. And sometimes they'll get frustrated. I've seen a few that got a divorce and said, I have 5 kids. My husband is not helping me, which makes, and me serving him as well is like having 6 kids. So I might as well just be with my 5 and know that I have 5 children. At least the 5 children are even helping me with house chores. So yeah, if ever wondered why that happened, it is because of these things I have listed. Of course, there are other irreconcilable differences and other things, but these are basic reasons of why most times when people travel, it looks like their marriage was okay in Nigeria and now they've traveled and they're having issues. Yeah. So if you have any thoughts on this, let me hear in the comment section. I'm looking forward to hear from you. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Bye.